Today on Beyond the Image, we're sitting down with Chief Human Resources Officer Michelle to talk about what it takes to recruit new talent to Steinberg Diagnostic. Thanks for joining me, Michelle.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I'd like to start with just kind of your journey to SDMI, how you got into HR in the first place, and what brought you to Steinberg Diagnostic.
I kind of fell into HR when my first HR position, believe it or not, was with Desert Springs Hospital as a part-time while I was in college. I liked it, and then I kind of fell into it from there. My position before Steinberg was I was with a community bank, and it was closed by the FDIC, and then it was just one of those things that I had never been in medical, but I saw the job and it looked interesting and I had the skill set, and here I am 13 years later.
Talk to me about what your day-to-day life in HR looks like.
It's hard to say. Every day is different. I can come in, have, a plan of what my day is going to look like, but based upon what happens within the organization, employee needs, my whole day could explode, and I have to deal with different things happening because of an emergency, or there's an employee injury, or there's an issue that comes up that takes precedent over other things I'm going to do. So I really don't have a typical day-to-day.
Tell me about the rest of your team and some of the different responsibilities that they have.
So I have one employee. She oversees the benefits and then the leave of absences. Then I have a total recruiter. She does all the recruiting, the onboarding, the new employee orientation, and then I have an HR coordinator who kind of fills in, does a lot of the administration work, does helps with new employee onboarding, processes paperwork, filing, things like that.
13 years with the organization, I'm sure you've seen a lot change. What has the evolution of HR been at SDMI?
Well, when I started here, it was a strange time where two HR employees had left, and I'd walked in and I was the only HR person. Then I hired one person. Then I now have three employees within the department.
And how has the employee volume changed in those 13 years?
Well, when I started, we had about 250 employees. Now we're about 570 employees.
What were some of the biggest challenges that you saw during the COVID times?
I think a lot of it was making sure that we're doing the right thing, making sure that our employees were safe, making sure that we are abiding by all the changing laws. It was a crazy time to be in the medical field at that time.
What are your biggest challenges, or HR in general's biggest challenges on the day-to-day?
Recruiting and keeping up with all the changing employment laws.
Employment laws change frequently?
Sometimes. I mean, we have state laws, we have federal laws to follow, so they can.
SDMI has a huge emphasis on the patient experience being really important. How do you feel HR impacts that patient experience?
Well, we need to be fully staffed to be able to staff the facilities to see our patients. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is making sure that we get the employees in, the new employees in, we get them trained, we get them onboarded as quickly as possible so they can get out into to fill the open spots. So our facilities are fully staffed so we can adequately see our patients.
Recruitment has changed a lot over the last few years. It's not just, throwing an ad out on the internet anymore. What are some of the things that you guys do that are unique to try to recruit new talent?
Since COVID, we've had to be more aggressive. We're offering sign-on bonuses, relocation bonuses, where in the past we haven't. We have a tech staffing shortage, not in Las Vegas, but nationally. So not only are we recruiting just locally, which in the past that was enough. Now we're actually having to recruit nationally, and it's still difficult to find the technical staff.
So technical staff, obviously, they need some very specific credentials and things. What about some of the positions, or are there positions that don't require those kinds of credentials, that there's just really no experience necessary, that people can use as a stepping stone into healthcare?
Some of our positions at the front desk, like a receptionist, that is a gateway position into higher level positions, a good position to get into the organization. But we have some in the call center. We have, it's called an STO. It's a triage operator. It's a great place. They get in, they get to learn the call center, and then they can get into some other positions within the call center.
Do you see a lot of growth from within?
We have a lot of movement. Most of our call center employees, they start as the STO and then they'll move into the patient care coordinators positions.
What about in the clinics? Do you see a lot of movement in those positions as well?
We do. We have a position that's called a tech aide, and that person basically helps the technical staff getting the patient ready for their procedure. That is a really good position. They have people start there and then they've gone to the front desk. But being a tech aide, they really get a good view of what other positions are available and the skill set necessary. So once they get in, they have that opportunity to move around.
What advice can you give to someone that is applying to SDMI?
I think what's important is you don't have necessarily in some of the positions have to have the skill set, but you have to want to learn, and you have to be very friendly and outgoing and understand you're working in a medical facility, and you have to understand that the patients who are coming in may not always be pleasant, because they're coming not because they sometimes want to, but because they need to have a procedure done, and it could be scary for them. So they have to understand that sometimes patients may be not so kind to them, but not to take it personally.
What do you think sets SDMI apart from other organizations?
I think that we as an organization, even though we've grown tremendously over the years, that we really take care of our employees, and I think we really care, and we really try to do the right thing.
How many employees would you say have been at SDMI for a lengthy amount of time?
Probably 50–60% of the time, or 50 or 60% of the employees. We have a large group of employees that have been here for years.
How do you maintain a positive work environment for your team with so many regulations and emergencies and things that are kind of popping up all the time? How do you keep everybody positive?
Treats? It's important for me. I do one-on-ones, quarterly one-on-ones. I'll do team meetings. We celebrate birthdays. We celebrate anniversaries. I buy them lunch. Touch bases with them. They know that I have an open door policy, and that if they need me, I'm always there regardless of what's going on. I'll always have time for them.
I'm sure you've seen a lot over the years. Can you tell us about your most memorable employee or most memorable experience?
I think the one thing that, not just one, but we have a employee golden image. It's called the Lona Van Boven Golden Image, and it's basically Employee of the Quarter, and I really like those because it's our way to recognize employees that go above and beyond, and we make it a big celebration. We'll go out to the facility. Dr. David comes, we give him some money, we give him a t-shirt, but it's a way for the executive team and for the local leadership at that facility to actually celebrate the successes of that employee.
What is the biggest impact SDMI has had on you personally?
I think it's the people I've met through the organization. It's such a caring organization. The employees, they just care about each other. I think it's because it's a medical facility, and those are the type of people that a medical company or an organization they gravitate to.
What are some of the biggest complaints or concerns that employees bring to you?
I think that they'll bring up safety issues. If they see something, they'll bring it up that needs to be addressed. If there's employee relations issues, they'll bring those up that I have to investigate and deal with.
And I'm sure you deal with a lot of sensitive information. How do you deal with the emotional aspect of some of the things that you learn about the staff?
Well, in my role, what I hear and what I see, it's only shared with people that need to know. So a lot of it is it's not shared, and it's just when someone comes into my office, I close my door and I kind of just listen and see what I can do to be as empathetic and helpful for the employee as possible.
What advice do you have for employees?
That when they come to work, they have to remember that not to take complaints or patients' reactions personally. I know that's difficult. And remember that the patient could be hurting, they could be scared, and try to put themselves in that patient's shoes, which I know sometimes can be difficult.
What is the most rewarding part of your job?
Sometimes it's things that I can't tell people, is when an employee comes in and needs help and I'm able to provide that help or provide that guidance to them, but it's not something that I can advertise that I've done, because sometimes it is personal and it's just not something I can share.
So I'd like to end with one kind of final question.
Okay.
What would your younger self be most proud of you for, or most surprised by?
I think my younger self would be proud that I have been able to, where I've gone in my career. I mean, I started like in human resources as a part-time HR clerk at Desert Springs Hospital. Now I'm the Chief Human Resource Officer for a large outpatient medical imaging company. I think that my younger self would be proud that I've been able to achieve that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.